This fine instrument was crafted by the renowned Italian luthier Ansaldo Poggi, one of the most respected violin and viola makers of the 20th century.
And fortunately, my grandfather was on a trip to Italy and took a detour to Bologna to meet up with the maker.
What did he pay for it?
The number that comes to mind as a kid was $600.
Born in 1893, Ansaldo Poggi was deeply influenced by the legendary Antonio Stradivari. Poggi's instruments are celebrated for their clarity, balance, and rich, expressive sound. He was known as a perfectionist, meticulously selecting only the finest spruce and flamed maple for his work. This particular viola, bearing Poggi's handwritten label, exemplifies his craftsmanship. The top shows a perfectly straight-grained spruce, while the back features beautifully flamed maple with striking depth and movement.
Another thing that makes me more comfortable with your viola is it's got real wear on it. I can see that it's been played.
Yes.
It's an appropriate amount of wear.
Over his long career, Poggi made approximately 388 instruments, but only 41 violas, making this example exceptionally rare. Today, Poggi's works are highly prized among professionals and collectors alike. This beautifully preserved 1967 Ansaldo Poggi viola is not only a remarkable instrument, but also a piece of 20th century Italian musical artistry.
I talked to some of my colleagues about the marketplace.
Yes.
And they said, you know what, in the United States, it's a little uncertain as to what the marketplace would be, but probably somewhere around $200,000 retail price.
I was thinking, several tens of thousands maybe.
For insurance purposes, I would put this at $330,000.
Okay.
This elegant violin bore the original label of Nicolas Lupeaulx à Paris, 1798, attributed to one of the greatest French violin makers of all time.
My husband got the violin in 1965 or so, and he got it from a violin shop in Washington, D.C.
Often called the Stradivari of France, Nicolas Lupeaulx worked first in Orléans before moving to Paris in 1798. His instruments were admired for their refined craftsmanship, rich tone, and elegant proportions inspired by the Golden Period Stradivari models. This violin, a fine copy of a Golden Period Stradivari, displayed several hallmarks of Lupeaulx's work. The back and sides were crafted from beautifully flamed maple, often called tiger stripe or curly maple, while the front was made of fine-grained spruce.
The purfling is this sandwich of 3 strips of wood. It's a decorative strip around the perimeter of the top and the back of the violin. And I noticed that the dark part of the outside lines is whalebone.
Though the instrument showed signs of wear, it retained remarkable authenticity and character. Accompanying it was a fine 19th century French violin bow from the school of Dominique Picot, reflecting its exceptional quality and craftsmanship. Together, this Lupeaulx violin and French bow represented the enduring legacy of French luthiery.
I think probably a retail value for this violin should be about $140,000. The bow probably valued more in the range of $20,000, so $7,000 was a little cheap.
Wow, that's good.
Thanks for bringing it.
Thank you very much. Well, that's terrific to hear. Makes my day.
This elegant instrument came from the Gagliano family of Naples, one of the most celebrated dynasties of Italian violin makers.
My uncle played the violin, and I think I was earmarked to have this violin as the person to bequeath it to.
The Gagliano family's craftsmanship combined warmth of tone with striking beauty, making their instruments highly sought after by collectors. This particular violin dated from around 1800 to 1810 and bore the label of Nicola Galliano, the family's most famous maker.
The violin is in wonderful condition. It's a typical Galliano model, a very powerful, broad arching. It projects a huge sound.
The top was crafted from fine Italian red spruce, while the back and sides were made from Yugoslavian maple. Despite its age, the instrument remained in remarkably good condition. The accompanying French violin bow originated from the workshop of Jean-Baptiste Vuillaume, one of the most prominent violin dealers and makers of the 19th century. It was crafted by François-Nicolas Voirin, Vuillome's favorite bow maker. The Galliano violin was in its beautiful state of preservation, depicting violin making mastery.
I'm going to value the bow at $12,000 to $14,000,
Really?
and the violin at $60,000 to $80,000. Very
Really?
conservatively, and that would be an auction value.
Wow. I would have never guessed.
The first violin was crafted by Ferdinandus Homolka in 1873, a maker often called the Stradivarius of Prague. His instruments were admired for their warm resonance, precision, and refined tone.
They used to belong to my brother's wife. They both passed away. They passed away prematurely because probably they lived in the fast lane. She was the violinist.
I see.
And her dad was a music teacher.
The second violin was made by Julius Hubitschka in 1927. He is known for producing well-crafted string instruments that followed the traditional Central European style of the period. Both instruments displayed the elegance typical of Czech craftsmanship, broad arching, fine maple backs, and luminous varnish. The collection also included several bows, the most notable by James Tubbs, one of England's greatest bow makers. Among the remaining bows were a finely balanced German bow and a hill bow with some replaced parts, yet both retained strong value and playability. The Homolka and Hubitschka violins, preserved in remarkable condition, stood as a blending beauty and voice that still longed to be heard.
Today, a Homolka like this has a retail price between $20,000 and $25,000.
Whoa.
The Hubecka, around $12,000.
Wow.
The Tubbs bow, the button is not original. It detracts a little bit from this price, but even at that would have a retail value around $13,000.
Crafted by František Herklick in 1925, the violin bore his original label. Herklick was the first violin maker in his family. Originally a wheelwright and violinist, he later established his own workshop and crafted instruments inspired by Cremonese models. His violins were known for fine wood selection and warm golden brown varnish.
It belonged to my grandmother, my father's mother, and she was a violin teacher in the Chicago area for many years. I think that my grandmother got it from her first husband, who immigrated from Czechoslovakia in the 30s.
Though a copy, Herklick's interpretation demonstrated remarkable skill and understanding of classical Italian design.
So you've probably seen the label. It
Yes.
says F.R. Herklick. And then the next word is in Czech, and it means violin maker,
Okay.
Hostler. And then it says the city that he worked in, Lada Boleslav.
The back was carved from beautifully figured bird's-eye maple. The instrument remained in excellent condition, with no visible cracks and ideal string height. Though Herklick's violin was not of the same value as the rare Tekla originals, it still represented a fine example of Czech violin making.
In today's marketplace, in a retail setting, your violin would be in the $10,000 to $12,000 price range.
That's a lot for something, yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Came from my wife. It was a gift from her father, who purchased it in Chicago in 1955.
The elegant violin traced its roots to the famed Klotz family of Mittenwald, Germany. It was one of the most important dynasties in 18th century violin making. The Klotz family, active from the early 1700s through the 19th century, produced instruments known for their warm tone, refined craftsmanship, and distinctive German character. Among them was Georg Klotz, a noted member of the family whose instruments reflected the influence of the Cremonese school. This violin showed hallmark features of Mittenwald construction, all indicators of authentic Klotz workmanship. While the exact maker within the family remained uncertain, experts agreed this instrument dated to the late 18th century. Though not definitively by Georg Klotz himself, this violin remained a treasured heirloom.
I would feel comfortable saying that this instrument would sell for $15,000 in today's market.
Thank you. I was hoping for a definitive Georg Klotz creator, but we'll keep it in the family for a long time.
This elegant violin was crafted by Auguste Felice, a Belgian violin maker celebrated for his exceptional craftsmanship and refined tonal quality.
I picked it up about 3 years ago from a boutique in Santa Monica where I live. The bow came in the case. Didn't pay a lot for it, but I just appreciated its color.
Born in 1883 in Miracourt, the historic center of French violin making, Felice trained among some of the finest luthiers of his generation. His meticulous attention to detail and expressive tone made his instruments highly sought after across Europe. This particular violin, dated 1917, bore Felice's original label and embodied his signature craftsmanship. It had a spruce top, flamed maple back and ribs, and graceful arching. Accompanying the violin was a fine French Pernambuco bow, mounted in sterling silver with an ebony frog. What began as an $80 boutique purchase turned out to be a remarkable discovery.
In a retail setting of $4,000.
For the bow?
For the bow.
Wow.
And the violin...
I was thinking $150.
The violin is a professional caliber violin. As you can see, it's not ready to be played right this instant, and so as-is value would be $22,000.
Okay.
And I think that it would take about $1,000, maybe $1,500 to get it really in tip-top playing condition. And if you put the work into it, it could have as much as a $25,000 retail value.
That's very, very good. That's a lot more than I thought, a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking $6,000.
Oh, $6,000?
Yeah.
And my great uncle knew the director of the orchestra, Harry Levinson, who was also my violin teacher. And Uncle Abe asked Harry if he could find a violin for me.
This exquisite violin was crafted by François Breton in Miracourt, France, around 1830. François Breton was known for his meticulous craftsmanship and the use of the finest materials, producing instruments with a rich, powerful tone and exceptional playability. Today, his violins are valued by collectors for their craftsmanship and historical significance. This violin originally had a shorter Baroque neck, typical of instruments made before 1850. However, it was later modernized to achieve greater volume and resonance.
This violin has about the best wood I've ever seen on a violin. The flamey maple on the back is so tight, and this is as good as it gets.
What began as a meaningful family gift became an exceptional example of 19th century French violin making.
Today, I would expect this to be hanging on the wall of a good violin shop with a price tag of between $15,000 and $20,000 at retail. So it's really a beautiful violin, and Uncle Abe is a good guy.
It was very generous uncle.
Yeah.
And if insurance purposes?
For insurance purposes, you could probably insure it for $25,000, maybe even $30,000. It's a very fine professional violin.
Thank you.
The violin was crafted in 1926 by a distinguished German maker, Ernst Heinrich Roth. He was a skilled artisan renowned for producing high-quality instruments sought after by professionals worldwide. Roth was known for copying classic Italian makers like Stradivari, Guarneri, and Amati. Uniquely, this instrument was an Amati copy modeled after the famous Italian luthier Niccolò Amati, reflecting exquisite features.
By an Amati copy, we mean the shape of the instrument, the outline here, the shape of the F-holes, the scroll. All those were in the style of Amati, who was a famous Italian violin maker.
Roth violins from the 1920s, particularly those made between 1920 and 1930, were considered the most desirable. They were prized for their beautiful Italian spruce tops, reddish-brown oil varnish, fading into golden tones, and one-piece backs. While the accompanying bow showed wear and little value, the violin itself remained a professional caliber instrument. Even after decades, its sound, construction, and provenance placed it among the finest 20th century German instruments.
I would put a retail value on that of $10,000.
Oh my goodness.
The charming violin was crafted by Robert Glear in Cincinnati, Ohio, in 1880.
I think in about 1977, a friend of mine and I went to New York City to visit her aunt and uncle. I played the piano for everybody, and the next day they said, we have this violin that's been in our family forever, and you look like you really care about music. There's no one here to take care of it, so we want you to have it.
Glier trained in Markneukirchen, Germany, one of the world's historic centers of violin making, before bringing his expertise to the United States. He was known for his thoughtful craftsmanship and practical improvements. The particular violin's back was made of fine maple, reflecting both aesthetic beauty and acoustic quality.
The label inside is absolutely accurate. It says Robert Glier, Cincinnati, 1880.
Paired with the instrument were two bows, the most significant of which was crafted by H.R. Pretzschner, a distinguished German bow maker trained in France and recognized as a master in his field. Together, this violin and bow represented a unique convergence of German training and American ingenuity.
It's probably worth, in the retail market, $3,000 as is. And after you do all the repairs, strings, and clean it up, do some varnish work on it, it would probably be worth $4,000.
Okay.
The bow, however, alone would be worth $4,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This exceptional violin was crafted by Nicholas Hines, a master American violin maker.
I brought in my grandfather's violin. My mom and dad always called him Pops. He died in 1945, so I never got to meet him. But he made violins, and he repaired violins for the Philharmonic, the Boston Pops, the New York Symphony. He worked for a company for a while, and then he opened up his own shop.
He made roughly 200 instruments with two-piece maple, backs, spruce tops, and brown or golden varnish. While not as famous as European masters, his violins were well-crafted and collectible. The displayed violin bore his original label and a branded mark, N. Hines, on the wood, a testament to his craftsmanship and pride. Constructed from traditional materials, the violin featured a spruce belly, flamed maple back, and ribs.
And the pegs are carved in a beautiful design, as is the tailpiece. I believe that the pegs and the tailpiece were actually made in Germany, and that he would have purchased them for this instrument.
I thought he made them.
Accompanying the violin was a French bow, stamped and in excellent condition. Together, this violin and its accompanying artifacts represented the historical legacy of American violin-making excellence.
In the world of retail, I would value this bow at $4,000.
Holy Hannah. Wowzer. Shut the front door, girl. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's a beautiful bow.
Wow. Wonderful.
The violin I would value
at
$12,000. It's a master quality instrument.
Oh, sweetie, I love that.
This exquisite violin was crafted by Paul Bailly in 1883, a distinguished member of the 19th century French school of violin making. Bailly's instruments were renowned for their crisp, clean workmanship, elegant proportions, and beautiful varnish, all hallmarks of the Parisian style. The label on this violin proudly noted 3 exhibition medals from Brussels, Sydney, and London.
Paul Bailly trained in Mirecourt, leaves Mirecourt, goes to Paris, and works with Jean-Baptiste Vuillaume, without a doubt the most respected maker of and shop of the mid-19th century.
This reflects the international recognition and acclaim Bailly earned during his career. This violin's combination of historical significance, fine craftsmanship, and rarity made it a truly remarkable instrument.
So we've seen a good increase. I would say, you had asked about insurance valuations. I have heard of fabulous examples like this selling in the retail market for upwards of $35,000.
Oh my gosh.
This extraordinary violin was crafted by Matthias Hornsteiner in Mittenwald, Germany, in 1781.
This is a violin that's been in our family for years, decades. It was my father's. My father had a long, illustrious career in the Air Force and rose to the rank of a major general. I don't know how much he paid for it, but he would have picked it up probably in the mid-1970s.
The Hornsteiner family were among the most esteemed makers of the Bavarian region, known for their artistry, precision, and tonal excellence. Hornsteiner violins are celebrated for their untouched condition, refined craftsmanship, and distinctive design details. The appraiser noted the violin's lion's head scroll, hand-carved from pear wood, which remains entirely original, a rare and striking feature. The back of the violin, crafted from bird's-eye maple, is typical of high-end 18th century German instruments.
And indeed, there are two labels that are on the inside. One is a repair label from H. Voigt in Vienna, and is dated 1879, but it says repair. And the second label that's on the inside that you probably noticed is a Latinized label, a name of Niccolo Amati, who was one of the great founders and originators of the violin in Cremona in northern Italy in the 16 and 1700s. And that's a false label.
This instrument stood as a pristine example of 18th century German violin making.
We would put a retail value on it of $20,000.
Oh my, really? Really?
That's right, and that's conservative.
This violin was initially suspected to be a work by Camillus Camilli, likely from 1737.
It belonged to my great-aunt Marie, who's pictured over here. She was a violinist in the Cincinnati area in Ohio. She moved out here and brought this one with her along with several others. And it's just basically been sitting in storage for 40 years.
Upon closer examination, it was revealed to be a high-quality forgery, meticulously crafted to replicate the Mantua style.
Speak of the Mantua school of making. Now, Mantua was only about a half a day's stagecoach ride from the great city of Cremona, where Stradivarius worked. So the makers of Mantua were very influenced by Stradivarius and almost equaled his level of work in the later 18th century.
The instrument features a spruce top with full arching and opium wood on the back and sides. The accompanying French bow, made of fine Pernambuco wood, bears the stamp of a premier French workshop. Expert analysis identified the maker as Claude Thomassin, one of the finest French bow makers of the early 20th century. His bows are celebrated for their elegant design, perfect balance, and exceptional playability, following the François-Nicolas Voirin tradition. Although the violin itself is not an original Camilli, it remains a valuable and finely made instrument.
And that value at an auction sale was between $6,000 to $8,000.
Inside the violin is a reproduction label marked 1745.
But probably in this instrument, it never had a label.
However, expert analysis indicates it was actually made in the early 1800s, most likely in Mittenwald, Germany, a renowned center of violin making. It's transparent. Varnish and refined finish are characteristic of instruments from this era. Although it was initially inexpensive, the violin is in excellent condition, showing only minor surface scratches that can be easily restored. This instrument stands as a remarkable investment, reflecting both artistry and enduring value. As a classic early 19th century German violin, it embodies exceptional skill and timeless appeal.
Just a nice German instrument from this time period in good condition today would have a retail value between $12,000 and $15,000.
Well, that's pretty good investment.
The instrument was crafted by Robert Glare, a German-born violin maker.
My parents bought me it as a gift when I was 13. I asked for one and asked for one and asked for one, and they finally said, okay.
Do you remember what they paid for it?
I believe it was $1,800 back in 1995.
He worked for the Rudolf Wurlitzer Company in Cincinnati before founding his own workshop. Glare's violins are known for their careful workmanship, balanced tone, and practical yet refined materials, making them dependable instruments for musicians. The label's number 1 marking denotes Glare's highest quality grade.
Means that this was his top quality.
Oh, wow.
So this is the select wood, the purest tone.
He reserved this for instruments made from select woods designed to achieve the purest tonal response, reflection of the maker's finest work. This violin represents a blend of historical lineage and superior artistry, making it a cherished piece for musicians and collectors alike.
I think that we're looking at a violin that's $10,000 to $12,000 in the retail world and represents an important part of American history.
Wow, that's amazing.
The label inside identified it as the work of Jean-Baptiste Vuillaume, the celebrated French luthier from Miracourt.
I went to college in 1968, and my instructor told me that I needed a better violin than the one I had, and we paid $600 for it, which was a lot of money.
However, the date and signature did not fully align with Vuillaume's authentic markings. Vuillaume, active between 1820 and 1875, was among France's most innovative and influential violin makers. The appraisal determined that this violin was likely made after his death, around 1880.
And there were some workers that worked for Vuillaume who continued working. And one of them was Derizet. Now, I can't 100% say that this is a Derizet, but it is of the quality of the work of Derizet.
Okay.
The violin's precise corner work, elegant purfling, and rich varnish exemplify the refined craftsmanship of late 19th century French makers. Combining historical importance with outstanding tonal and aesthetic beauty, this violin stands as a masterful tribute to Vuillaume's enduring legacy.
And I would value this violin in the retail market today at $25,000.
Oh, wow. That's great. That is great.
It was believed to be an 18th century violin from southern France or northern Italy.
I was about 12 years old and played through high school. I expected to become a concert violinist and instead went on to be an engineer.
Upon closer examination, the appraiser revealed that the label was false. The violin is actually an early 19th century instrument from the Kuipers school, a distinguished family of Dutch violin makers spanning 3 generations. The varnish, purfling, and archings display characteristics typical of Dutch craftsmanship, confirming its origin.
The belly is spruce, and then the back is particularly beautiful maple. It's flamed maple. You can see the flames running across the back.
According to the appraiser, though the label is false, the violin itself is authentic, dating from around the 1820s. This violin represents true artistry, standing as a remarkable example of 19th century Dutch violin making.
And the value today, a conservative value in the retail market, would be $25,000.
Oh, great. That's a lot more than I thought it was. Well, thank you very much for that good news.